Hey there, welcome. Today I wanted to talk about irritation and kind of our moral obligations in this life. Moral obligations beyond action, beyond extroverted good deeds, although that's awesome. But our moral obligation to love and show compassion. And I wanted to talk about this because I personally see a lot of irritation in the world. I experience it myself, and I experience it in the kind of sphere of people trying to do good, trying to live a good life. And I've talked about anger before. I've talked about, things similar to this, but irritation is irrational. It doesn't ever get us what we want. We want somebody to change, we want something to be better, we want rich people to be generous, we want others to, work harder so that they can solve their problems, the things they're complaining about. We want other people to take our advice because maybe we have the solution, but they're not embracing it, and then we get irritated. But it doesn't work. It doesn't help. It just compounds the issue, it just creates more suffering. And so what I've been, and this is a big part of it's been from my work, because it's really important, I'm finding out, to actually work hard, to do a good job, and to love what you do. That sounds obvious on the surface, but I landscape, I mow lawns, and I grab debris, and I pull out weeds, killing plants. I shape bushes and flower plants so that they just have a shape that people like, even though it's just useless killing of plant matter that is important. It's important for the environment and it's important for the atmosphere, but I'm paid to sequester some of that plant matter and to keep it down a little bit. But I love the job because I'm like many people, I still need to survive, and that's the job I have. And for many reasons, it's a good job with a good crew. So even though it's not perfect, it's far from perfect, it's still way better for me to enjoy it, to respond positively to it, to pull out the good things about it, and to make it better for everybody by doing a good job, by being that worker that makes life easier upon my coworkers, and even my boss. Even if my boss doesn't work as hard sometimes as us, or he makes more money, there's no point in complaining, there's no point in getting irritated. Even if my other coworkers aren't as present and efficient, there's no point in getting upset about that and expecting anything just from my irritation. If I want something to change, I should talk about it, I should ask, I should engage with the world, not just react with tension about it. And this is the same with people that I know that just have issues, like health issues, and there's solutions. They can exercise, they can eat healthier, they can, take slower time for themselves, like meditation, mindfulness, etc. There's tools at their disposal immediately, both with their own body and even just the internet, for them to solve a large portion of their complaints. And I'll get irritated that someone's not choosing to eat healthy. They have digestive issues, and then they're eating all these foods that are basically proven to be toxic for the human body. Well, it just doesn't help that I'm irritated about that. It's just completely extra suffering. There is no help. It doesn't change them. It doesn't make a conversation easier. It doesn't make me prone to engaging, to have a comfortable, harmonious conversation. It doesn't make my feelings better. It doesn't make my time better. It doesn't teach them anything. It doesn't teach other people what to do, how to change, how to feel, how to think, how to perceive, how to transform. And I'm just noticing it's just very present, it's just very present. People being irritated at the world and other people for being imperfect, for not being like them, for not doing what they would do. It's all part of the same shtick, this reactive separation. We experience and believe that others are separate from us. We believe that there's this limited reality of individuals, and we give away our infinite power of love and instead choose to react and create suffering. It's the same with blaming and complaining. It's the same with fear, greed, and anger. It's the same with all of these patterns. It is the core of it is really just choosing limitation, some form of it, and reacting to it. So giving power to that imaginary separation, that imaginary limitation, instead of abiding and resting in compassion, in the great love of God, of infinity. And this makes everything better. My work goes smoother, relationships go smoother, because then people know that you love them unconditionally, and this amount of support, this amount of grace, people need it. And things become constructive, consensual criticism. We just talk about it and figure out how to make things better if we can. And then if we can't, or if others can't, even though I could, we just love them anyways. Because that irritation is even doubly stupid and irrational if someone else in a body that we can't control has a part of consciousness that it's not under our responsibility, chooses to keep running into the same obstacle, keep doing the same habits, refusing aid, even after you've talked about it, well then, that's the end of the line. There's no point in reacting, because this isn't something you can control. This isn't something we can change. And we know for a fact that there's no reason to react, there's no reason to get upset about things outside of our control. This is obvious. A lot of people know this, but I think majority of people still do it. Majority of people still get flustered. They heighten their heart rate. They get tense. They think negative thoughts. They think defeating thoughts about events and things that we have no control over. I think a lot of people are even more prone to think they're a failure and maybe even think down about themselves, instead of just realizing, well, no, it just wasn't a thing you could control. It wasn't in your grasp. And then there can be this conversation about, well, if we're infinite, isn't everything in our grasp? This is true, actually, but only with eternity. So that involves infinite patience, it involves a level of patience unfounded, a level of patience way beyond our scope of daily life. Yes, we have the power to make a utopia on Earth, but it's also not single-handedly. Because what comes with being our infinite, true essence of reality involves every being. It involves every plant and animal and person. It involves all the people that were and to come. It involves the beginningless, eternal presence. So it's not hankering for a result just because it took us 2 days to confront this event or person, and then it still didn't change after we tried one thing. Yeah, we're infinite. We could change them. We could even probably control somebody's thoughts and body. But it takes the infinite self, which is also eternal. And then it just collapses, because then there's no point in controlling other people. It's just a waste of time. It's like how much energy it takes to I'm trying to think of a good example. I apologize. I remember watching a video of a very strong and athletic cyclist, like a winner in different tournaments, or he has medals and trophies, and they put him on a bike that generates electricity. And this fellow, who's like a world-class athlete at cycling, had to push himself to the limit to just make some toast on this electric biking machine. It's like that. It's like, okay, maybe we could develop the superpowers or the siddhis, the yogic abilities to really control people, but the amount of time and effort and situations that it would take to do that is just not worth it. It's not worth the goal. It just wouldn't match. This all leads me to loving and joy and happiness. It's our moral obligation. These are two pretty big topics, just like not getting irritated, and then the moral obligation of love and happiness. But it's true. If we are morally obligated to not harm other beings unnecessarily, if we are morally obligated to refrain from creating any sort of negative experience for other people in as much as we can, we have to ask, why are we doing that? And we do it because we know what experience is, because we are an experiencer. We are an entity that experiences reality. And we know there is a plethora of uncomfortable, painful things that we don't want. Sometimes it's nitpicky, like I just don't want to walk in the rain because it'll get my hair frizzy. But other ones are just obvious, like I don't want to be stabbed and die early, missing out on beautiful experiences. Because that's the other side of an experiencer, is the infinite, the boundless amount of good things, of pleasure, of joy, of care, of adorability and bliss and serenity and excitement and passion and sexual pleasure and sensual gratification and spiritual transcendence and cathartic waterworks of release. There's so many. There's so many good things to experience. And that's why we don't harm, because then we don't pull a being from the possibility of experiencing something amazing away from that. Because we know that is reality. Reality is something that can hurt and something that can not hurt. at the end of the day. And we're all naturally, just part of the procedure of being an experiencer, going to drift and lean towards the variety of good experiences. And so it is morally our obligation to, if we can, because we're aware that we can change how we react, to react with love and joy and show appreciation and gratitude and patience and understanding towards all those things that we would be irritated by, those things that would rub us the wrong way, that we'd be impatient with. Because we just compound the suffering. We create suffering for this flesh and this brain, and this reverberates outward. It influences how we talk, how we act, how we position ourselves and relate in the world by being irritated. And that cascades into suffering to others, especially people that are very sensitive. They're empathetic, they feel what other people feel, or they mirror what other people experience. And we know people do that, and we know it's prevalent. So we know that useless negative reactions just harm. The ground of true reality, of existence, is morality, at least partly. And it's our moral obligation to merrily make merit, to make good things happen. And this starts with reacting with love instead of all those other things that we so often do and others so often do. And this is why honing our reactive tendency is so important, because other people are not going to do this. And we need more people that do. And so especially in today's age of instant gratification and impulsiveness and reactivity and untrained beings, being a person that chooses love and compassion instead of irritation is even more important. Thank you so much for watching. Om Saram.